My name's Vince Mitchell, and it's my pleasure here today to take you through a little exercise in creative thinking. I first got interested in this about 20 years ago when someone said, which part of organizations should be responsible for understanding how we can think creatively in organizations. And I thought, well, that's probably got to be the marketing department. So that's what I took an interest in. I've been teaching these kinds of techniques for about 15 years now. So I'm going to take you through a couple of those today. I'm going to start by sort of setting the scene, and we're going to get you warmed up creatively. And then I'm going to take you through 3 different techniques, which begin very easy and get a little bit harder as each one as we go. 2 of them are group techniques, so they work better with 2s or 3s or 6 people, depending on how you're putting them. And then the final one is an individual activity. And then we'll wrap it up and send you on your merry way to the finales for today's activities. So what are we talking about here? Creativity is the use of imagination or original ideas to create something, also known as inventiveness. So that's what we're going to try and achieve in the next 45 minutes. You are going to be inventors, and I'm going to take you through some steps which will guarantee that you will be inventive. But before we do that, let me ask you this question. How many people think they're creative? Put your hand up if you think you're creative. Oh, wow, that's good. That's about 30% of the audience, if not more, 35%. I mean, you might expect that because if you are creative, you tend to be attracted to creative things, and this label is about creativity, so there's a self-selection bias in that. Normally, when I teach without people being able to select, it's around about the 20-25% of people identify as being creative. So we'll see, and you people are probably a certain type of creative, whereas everybody else, I'm going to hopefully convince you by the end of this session, is an alternative type of creative. Both are creative, but they're just creative in slightly different ways. So let's begin with a heretical statement in a university. I don't want you to think. Thinking is the enemy of creativity. It's lousy, and anything that's self-conscious is lousy. You can't just try to do things, you must simply do things. So what I'm going to encourage you today is to stop your normal thinking, ways of thinking, and enter into an alternative mode of thinking. Now, that is much easier said than done. I'm going to help you with that. Some people will find that easy, some people find that extremely hard. It's actually a very difficult thing to unwire our thinking. And the reason I want you to stop thinking, and the reason that it's difficult to unwire, is that the software of Western thinking actually undermines creativity, which is why we've got to stop it when we actually want to be creative. So when you think of some of the philosophical underpinnings that we rely on, Socrates and the Sophists, it's all about negative, it's all about argument, it's all about critical thinking. Plato, the search for truth. Yet in a creative world, things don't have to be true, right? So the idea of truth prevents us, if we have that as a hurdle for our thinking, it prevents us from being creative. And then, of course, we've got Aristotle and logic. Logic is the antithesis of creativity. We are searching for the illogical. Now, sometimes you see things, you've all got some Post-it notes there. I don't know whether you know the story of Post-it notes, but Post-it notes came about because 3M had some research scientists who wanted to produce glue, and they produced a glue that didn't stick. Now, that wasn't a very good day for them if your job is to produce glue and something like that. Turns out that with an alternative lens, having a glue that doesn't stick is an extremely useful thing, of which Post-its is one amongst many applications of that. And so what happens is, when you look at a Post-it now, you go, oh my God, well, of course, that's logical. You think like that. but it's only logical in hindsight. It's not logical that you would want to produce a glue that doesn't stick with foresight. So logic can mistakenly, when you think about, see some brilliant things, creative things in the world, you can use logic to understand them. But actually logic is not the way that they came about. So I want you to suspend some of these ways of thinking, and we're going to lay down some ground rules in order to do that. So we're going to avoid overthinking. We're going to avoid negative psychology. There are no observers. So if you're here, you're playing. I hate to say that. Everyone should be expected to contribute as fully as they can. We're going to assume positive intent. That is that people will think well of you, even if you've got a half-baked idea. And we're going to avoid negative comments. They inhibit people we're working with from coming up with ideas. Take the simple but. Oh, that's a great idea, but. It discounts everything that has gone beforehand and inhibits people from coming with other ideas. So instead of but, we're going to use our favorite replacement, which is yes and. So remember that when you're working in your groups. So our first little activity to get us into a positive mindset. Within your 2s or 3s, I just want you to kind of think of one nice thing, one compliment you can just say to a person. If you can think of 2, all the better. And simply express that. And when it's expressed to you what the compliment is, your response is thank you. Okay, off you go, 1 minute. I'm going to give you a compliment. I love your bag. It's a great bag.
Thank you.
Yes. It looks both stylish and functional.
Thank you.
Right.
Can I give you a compliment?
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you for the great presentation and the wonderful tips, and for helping us to sort of alternatively wiring our thinking.
Right. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Okay. Thank you for doing that. Let's move on. The second thing we need to tackle is for those of you who have children, then this will be a very, very familiar pattern to you. And that is the intellectual ages which are relevant to creativity. So often when children are young, they go through a why phase. Why does this happen? Why does that happen? What's the cause of that? And that can be very annoying for parents. But they're organizing the world. And that's a natural way of trying to figure out how the world works. And then, interestingly, what happens is from the age of 6 to 12, they enter into a creative phase where it's all about why not. Why can't I go to the playground at midnight? Why can't pigs fly? Now, I don't know whether the first phase or the second phase is more annoying to parents. I don't know if you have an opinion on that. But what I do know is that this second phase is very, very important for us when we're thinking about developing our creative thinking skills. Because unfortunately what happens is that as we grow up and grow older, we get all of that thinking software to tell us, well, that can't happen because people get upset. That can't happen because that's not true. That can't happen because it costs too much. That can't happen because it's not logical. Right? And so we crush people's creativity. So what I want us to do for the next 45 minutes is try and reconnect with that young 6 to 12-year-old that's inside of you. And by doing that, you will be able to tap into a source of creativity and creative thinking which is freer and is in the why not variety, which is a really helpful state for us to be creative. So let's begin some exercises to try and do that then. Because you wouldn't expect you to run a marathon without doing a warm-up, and equally, I'm not expecting you to be immediately creative without doing some creative warm-ups. The first one, in your groups, I want you to answer this question individually to your group. If you were an ant, how would you be different from other ants? Okay, 1 minute, off you go in your groups. So if you were an ant, how would you be different?
Probably work a bit harder than most.
Right, hard working ant, okay? I think I'd be yellow.
Oh, that's nice.
So probably it looks there.
I like that. That's like ladder.
Okay, so let's bring that to a close, please. Excellent, thank you very much. Our second warm-up is a visual warm-up. So here you're going to do a group interactive drawing. So everyone has a pen, yeah, and you're going to choose one piece of paper between 2 or 3, place it in the center, yeah, of your group. And I want you to draw something all together on the same paper as if you were a 6-year-old child. So you're going to draw something, yeah, that you might have drawn when you were 6 years old. Please don't discuss what it is. You must not discuss what it is. It's not relevant what it is. What's relevant is that you get back to drawing like a 6-year-old child. Okay, so everyone's got a pen. Let's put it on the paper in the center. If you want to pull these out to the side, yeah, to give you a place to work on. Okay, are we ready? You've got 2 minutes to draw anything you like as a 6-year-old. Don't talk about it. You're 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, let's bring that to a close, please. Excellent. Okay, so our final little warm-up is a kinesthetic warm-up. So I'd like you all, yeah, to stand up. And we're going to create a human machine. So the human machine, yeah, is that everyone is a part, and every part, yeah, makes a sound and an action, right? And the whole machine working together, yeah, is perfect harmony. So that's what we want to achieve. So let's just have a little practice run. Yeah, we're going to make a sound and an action, something like, okay, so let's have a practice run. After 3, 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, you know, some people took my cue, yeah, which is great. Yeah, but because we're all individuals in a collective, then you can choose your own sound and you can choose your own action, right? This time, I just need everybody to do it a little bit more sound, a little bit more exaggerated action. After 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, brilliant. Whoa, 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 great. Now that's much better. Okay, so it's the last time now because there are a couple of people, the machine isn't working properly because a couple of parts aren't working. Yeah. So we just need to check those parts. Give them a little bit of an oil, a little bit of a squeak. Yeah, you're right. Everyone together after 3. You're loud and proud. 1, 2, 3, go. Well done. Give yourselves a round of applause. Have a seat. Okay, so hopefully we're a little bit more connected with our inner child and we're ready to warm up. So our first task is we're going to create a new laundry basket. Yeah, that's our creative task. So here are some examples. And the first technique we're going to look at, yeah, is a technique by Leonardo da Vinci. So yeah, this technique can be used for anything. And what it begins by doing is we actually separate or divide our object of interest, in this case a laundry basket, into different types of properties which the laundry basket has. So it's got a material, it's got a shape, it's got a finish, and then it's got a position in the room or the house. And then for each of those, we identify some of the levels of that particular dimension. So the material might be wicker, plastic, paper, metal, or leather. The shape, it may be a flat shape, it may be a hexagonal shape, a cylindrical shape. When we think about the finish, we might think, oh, well, we could paint it, it could be natural, it could be a metal finish. And then when we think about, well, where could it be in the house, we might think it could be virtual. It could be on the door, it could be shipped to the basement. So this becomes our matrix from which we're going to generate new ideas for the laundry basket. So your first job, when you've got your paper in front of you, your first job as a group is to decide what other levels that you want to put in these question marks, right? Just to get you to think about those. And then that's where the ideas start. On every post-it, everyone's got your own post-its, with a pen, you were going to identify a new type of laundry basket. So what you might do is you might go along horizontally. So you might have a wicker, square, natural that sits on the floor. You write that down on your post-it, bang. On the paper, that's one idea. You might say, I'm going to have a leather, hexagonal metal on the wall. Bang, post-it on the wall. It might be you go plastic, rectangular, luminous on the door. Another idea, bang, on there. Or if you're getting really adventurous, you might just go random. So you might pick a random number from 1 to 6. In each of the columns, you go 1, wicker, 3, rectangle, 5, neon, 2, on the wall. Write it down on a post-it, bang, that's a new idea. We're not judging ideas at this stage. We're not judging ourselves, we're not judging other ideas. We're simply coming up with as many ideas as possible. Any questions?
Question marks with other stuff.
Right, so your first task is actually to fill in the question mark with that other level. So spend a couple of moments thinking about what that is, and then go straight into the one idea per post-it. Okay, let's go. We've got 5 minutes for this exercise. Go, go, go. Yes, you're working in groups. But write down individually. Everyone write down individually in your post-it. Don't wait for one person to be a scribe. Now, how was that? Easy. Yeah, right. That's exactly what we want. We want an easy start to the creativity process. That is creativity for dummies. It's not possible to be uncreative with that. It's a natural, just the simplest way of doing it. Now, I've chosen 3 techniques that we're going to look at. There are hundreds of different techniques. So if you like that technique and you find they're easy, then you're on the right track. We're going to actually make it a little bit more difficult with our second one. Let me ask you what these products have in common. So this is an exercise bike. This is a powdered miso soup. This is a baby's chair. And that is a contact lens. So what do those things have in common? All for humans. Yes, very good. They're all plastic. Yes, they all have plastic on them, for sure. You need to pay for them. Yes, okay. What else? You use them in daily life. That's true. None of them natural. They've all been person-made. They're very different categories of activities. Yeah, very good. Right, very interesting. So they're all modifications of something else. So a bike, yeah, what has an exercise bike? Yeah, this was soup. You know, my question then, and if you don't mind, you can't answer this because you've already been very good. How have each of these been modified? Who said that? Removed? Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah, well done. They've all had something to remove. So we take a bicycle, we take a wheel away, and we get an exercise bike. We take chair legs away, yeah, and we get a baby's chair. We take water away from soup, we get dried soup, and we take the lens, the frame from a pair of glasses, and we get the idea of contact lenses. So eliminating something creates something new. And that's one of the techniques we're going to use in our next technique. It's the E of scamper. It stands for eliminate. So I'm going to run you through this scamper for restaurants, and then we'll give you an opportunity to try that for yourself. So S stands for substitute. So we could substitute tofu for meat, another vegetarian restaurant. C stands for combine. We could combine different types of food, Indian, and Italian, have a tandoori pizza. A, stands for adapt. How could we adapt the restaurant? Often, certainly, in Australia, the curry that we eat here is not genuine Indian curry that you'd find in India. It's been adapted to local your tastes, and that's absolutely fine. So we could adapt some of the food. We can modify or magnify. So we can shrink the portion sizes, and essentially we have tapas as a type of eating. It's a different style of restaurant. We could put the food to other uses. So nouvelle cuisine, where we actually put the food and present it as an art form, that is putting the food to a different type of use, and as a result of which we create a different value, we can actually charge a different price. E stands for eliminate. So what can we eliminate in the restaurant in order to make it a different experience? So let's eliminate like, because when you eat in the dark, that heightens some of the senses. And for those of you who have been to a restaurant like Dans le Noir, where you're served by blind waiters and it's completely pitch black, that's a very, very powerful sensory experience. I mean, it truly is. And R stands for reverse or rearrange. So what could we reverse within the restaurant? So why not charge for drinks, rather than the food, and that may be a way of creating something different. Okay, so those are scamper, that's an example. When we do this exercise, what I want us to think about is setting ourselves a target for the number of ideas, right? And I'm going to suggest at least 10 per person is my initial target. But if you want to set a higher target, then knock yourself out. And the reason I'm going to do that, is that I'm 99% certain, that everybody in here sees themselves as a quality person who thinks quality thoughts, who has quality ideas, right? And so when I'm asking you to come up with an idea for a new restaurant, you think this has got to be quality, right? Who's not thinking that? Great, that's the 0.9% out of the 100 that I was talking about. We've got 100 people here, there's one person who's not thinking that. Good on you, because there is this logical fallacy I was talking about earlier. Because you are quality people who have been taught to think in a quality way, you think you must always think that in order to come with a quality idea for a restaurant. I'm here to tell you that in order to achieve a quality idea, you have to start with quantity. Quantity is the only route to quality in creativity. So what you mustn't do is censor yourself and say, oh, that's not a good idea, that's not quality enough, that's not good. No. There's no such thing as a bad idea. And more importantly, we've got to have 100 bad ideas to get the one quality idea. So if you want to circumvent that, you can if you're Leonardo da Vinci. right? Yeah, and so if you're that genius, yeah, then big respect. You don't need the quantity aspect. You can go straight to the quality. For the rest of them, you mortals, we've got to just do the hard slog and produce your 99 crap ideas. And from that, we'll get one great idea. So I want you to think about quantity breeding quality. Set yourself a target for this next exercise. And I'm forcing you to think that necessity is the mother of invention. So by forcing you to do 10, 15, 20 ideas, you will get closer to a great invention than you would otherwise do. So this is your task. You're going to get out your piece of paper. You're going to work in groups with this again. So using your scamper, you're going to come up with at least one idea for a new restaurant per scamper letter. Write it down on a different post-it, stick it on your paper. There's no need to discuss your ideas with the group, but as you put it down on your paper, do mention what it is, because it might spark another idea from someone else when they're thinking not yes, but yes and. Okay, any questions? Okay, pen and paper at the ready. Yeah, let's go. S stands for substitute. Okay, yeah, let's go on to our next letter. Think about ideas for combine. What could combine? Okay, next one, adapt. What could you adapt in the restaurant? Okay, modify or magnify. Nearly there. P, put to other uses. One idea per post-it note. Remember, every idea is a post-it note. Does anyone need any more post-it notes? No. Okay, let's carry on. Two more and then we're done. E for eliminate. What could you eliminate in the restaurant? And finally, reverse or rearrange. The reverse was charging for drinks, not kind of thing. Excellent, well done. Okay, write down your final ideas on post-its. So you've been working in twos or threes. Typically, it's groups of 4 to 6 or even larger. And when we're working in large groups, we often find that actually the group setting itself can be an inhibitor to creativity, because people are socially inhibited, especially people who are slightly anxious in your larger groups. Sometimes people fear their ideas will be evaluated not within the group, but by some other boss or some other entity outside of the group, and that can inhibit them. There's also sometimes a problem of free riding. If you've got someone in the group who's really good at this in terms of free lateral thinking, then that can actually make other people in the group's contribution seem more dispensable, and therefore they are less motivated to perform at the highest level. We also have a problem of group averaging. So group averaging is when individuals compare their performance with others in the group. And what happens is that everyone seems to converge on an average, both in rate and type of ideas, and so nobody is outperforming the average. We also have downward comparison problems, where people compare their performance to the person in the group who's the lowest performer and feel good even if they're just slightly better than that. That inhibits them from performing at a high level. And then finally, you have above average effects. So particularly with these kinds of activities, when individuals are uncertain about what's adequate performance with regards to quality and quantity of ideas, then most people actually believe that their performance is superior to others, that they're above average. And therefore, that inhibits them from performing any better, and that therefore inhibits the whole group to perform better. So partly because of that, our final example is something that we're going to go to an individual level. And here we're going to use guided imagery. And so if you remember at the beginning, I said creativity is the use of imagination. And so here we're going to access one of the potential infinite sources of creativity that we have within ourselves, and that's our imagination. And the reason it's a source of infinite creativity is that it's actually very hard to imagine the same thing twice. So if you close your eyes and you imagine a car and then you try and imagine it again, right, the car will be slightly different. It's extremely hard to imagine the same thing twice. So inbuilt within us is this infinite source of creativity. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to find yourself a comfortable place where you are now. You can put down your pens and paper, and you're going to close your eyes. And you're going to relax. And I want you to begin to focus on your breathing. Now I want you to imagine you're actually on an island. And on the island, you're standing by the sea. You can smell the sea breeze. You can feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. You can hear the birds in the trees. And you can feel the warm sand beneath your feet. In the center of the island, there's a mountain. And you start to walk up the mountain. As you get to the top, you see there's a theatre. And as you approach the theatre, there's a sign outside which says, "The Theatre of Innovation." You walk inside, and in the auditorium, you realize there's something surrounded by a curtain. You know that that is your new laundry basket. So I want you to pull back the curtain, and there it is. Take a moment to walk around the new laundry basket, making a note of any shape and color and function and style and material. Now, with those mental notes, you're going to come out of the theatre, walk down the mountain, away from the island, and back to the University of Sydney. So, open your eyes. And what I'd like you to do now is quickly get your pen and a Post-it and just do a little sketch, make any notes on your Post-it, what you saw behind the curtain. And then when you've done that, you're going to give a 15-second explanation to everyone in your group. So just make sure that every idea is on a different Post-it. Every idea is on a different Post-it. How was that as an exercise? Anyone have any thoughts on that as an exercise? Did it work? Too relaxing. Too meditative. Okay. Yeah. My voice was not kind of punchy enough, and it is late in the afternoon, right? Yeah. So it might be different in the morning. But did you see something behind the curtain? Right. Yeah.
It was squared with with shape. So I saw that.
Perfect. There you go. That's all you need.
Very familiar to me. I meditate every day, and when I do a visualization meditation, that's that happens. So yeah. Easy.
But you hadn't used it for creative purposes. Yeah, there you go. Okay, everyone. Yeah, right. Let's move on. Remember I told you about this quantity, you're beating quality. So here's where the rubber hits the road. So now I want you to add up in your group how many post-it ideas you have. So just add them all up in your group. If you were working on your own, yeah, you can exclude yourself from this exercise. So who was more than 30 as a group? Anyone more than 30? But yeah, keep your hand up. More than 30. Great. More than 40. Hands up. More than 40. Good here. Oh, here. Yeah, and here still. More than 50. Keep your hands up. Oh my goodness. More than 60. No, somewhere between 50 and 60. Give this group in the center, yeah, a round of applause. Well done. So there you have it. You did each of those things for only 5 minutes with only 3 people, and this group came up. Yeah, most people got around, yeah, you're 30 or so. Right. This group doubled that at kind of 60. Imagine if you'd had twice the amount of time, double the number of techniques, and double the number of people. You can easily get to hundreds of ideas within a very short space of time. So this idea that quantity breeds quality is actually a very doable idea as long as you put people through the correct creative processes. So just before we end, yeah, I want to just remind you what's coming up. Yeah, next at 5 o'clock to 5:30 on the front lawns, it's the closing ceremony. And then as a little advert, if you're interested in the music, yeah, there's a concert tonight between 6 and 7 in the Great Hall. So yeah, let's finish off with this, which is slightly where I started. Some people, when they put their hand up at the beginning, are probably innovators as opposed to adapters. And Curtin's continuum here says that actually this is a continuation. But there are some people who are more adaptive. They are people who do things differently. They provide incremental improvements and modifications. Whereas traditionally, when we think about creative people, we think about people who are inventive, who do things differently. Oh, sorry, do things better and do things differently. And they're good at fundamental change. They're good at radical kind of breakthrough. Yeah, but I hope I've convinced you that both are necessary and both are creative, just in slightly different ways. So going back to our initial question, then, how many people think they're creative now? Put your hand up. Okay, yeah, that's what I wanted. We're about kind of 60, 65%, which is nearly double where we were before. Yeah, that's the perfect result, for the end of what I think was a perfect session to move you and convince you that you are creative. You might just be creative in a slightly different way. And it's all that remains for me to say is, I hope you enjoyed the day. I hope you enjoyed this particular session. And to thank our organisers and to thank you for being such a great fun crowd. Thank you.